The story begins with a young woman tied to a tree in the blistering Kansas sun. Her only defense a desperate whisper to the rancher, holding a razor. "You shave me, and I will kill you." It's a tale of Elias Ward, a grieving rancher, and Josie Hale, a girl running from a fate worse than death, who faced an entire town demanding cruel punishment and the dangerous men hunting her down. What unfolds will grip your heart with its raw tension, restore your faith in selfless courage, and prove that one act of defiance can shatter the chains of the past and redefine the meaning of freedom. Before we begin this journey together, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this story with someone who needs a reminder that there is still goodness in the world, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Let's get started. The first sound is her scream, sharp and broken, tearing through the dry Kansas air. When you look, you see her. A young woman, no more than 22. Her clothes are torn, her knees bruised, her wrists tied tight above her head to a dead branch that trembles in the heat. The sun beats down, turning every breath into a struggle. Her name is Josie Hale, and she looks utterly forsaken by the world. Flies buzz around her legs. Her lips are cracked. A long cut on her thigh has bled down to her ankle. But the worst thing isn't the rope, the dust, or the hunger. It's the raw fear in her eyes and the fierce, desperate way she tries to hide it. The shadow of a tall rancher falls over her. Elias Ward, 48, owner of Dry Creek Ranch. A man who has buried a wife and a daughter, and now carries his loss like a permanent weight. They say his temper is quiet, the kind that runs deep until someone kicks the wrong stone. Today, that stone is this girl. She raises her head as he steps closer. Her voice shakes, but she forces it steady. "You shave me," she whispers, "and I will kill you." The words hang in the air, a tangled mix of warning and plea. The sheriff behind him snorts, dismissing the threat of a tied-up girl. But Elias doesn't laugh. He has seen eyes like hers before, eyes that keep fighting long after the body is given up. The sheriff tells him to get on with it. The punishment for stealing a horse is simple. Shave her head to shame her, then let the town deal with the rest. The crowd gathers, waiting for the spectacle. Elias kneels, picking up the shaving kit as if it weighs 100 pounds. Josie flinches when he lifts the straight razor, her breath coming in frantic, shallow gasps. But her eyes never leave his. "You shave me," she whispers again, "and I swear I will kill you." In that moment, Elias sees what no one else bothers to notice. This girl is not a thief. She is terrified. She is desperate. And she is hiding a truth worth dying for. Elias kept the razor in his hand, but something in him shifted with her second whisper. It was soft, yet sharper than the blade he held. "You shave me, and I swear I will kill you." It wasn't a criminal's threat. It was the last, desperate defense of a soul pushed into a corner with nothing left but fight. He studied her face, the dirt, the bruise on her jaw, the way her knees shook, but her head remained unbowed. He'd seen that same wild, trapped look in the eyes of cornered animals. He recognized a fear that ran deeper than any law. The sheriff tapped his boot, growing restless. The crowd murmured, annoyed the spectacle hadn't begun. Elias ignored them. "Where did you come from?" he asked her, his voice low. "Why were you at the livery?" Her answer spilled out, shaky and raw. She said the sheriff never asked. She said no one cared for a reason. She told him she'd been running since the night her uncle tried to sell her to a cattle driver. Elias felt a familiar coldness twist in his chest. He knew evil didn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it lived in the next room. She'd only taken the horse to reach Fort Dodge, to outrun the man who'd bought her. She would have made it, too, if exhaustion hadn't claimed her behind the barn. Elias looked at her wrists, raw and swollen from the rope. This was no thief. This was a terrified girl fleeing a nightmare with legs. The sheriff stepped closer, his voice a warning. "The law is the law, Ward. Let her go, and every drifter will think they can do as they please." Elias felt the weight of every watching eye, waiting for him to obey. But Josie just stared back, her eyes burning like a coming storm. "Josie," he heard himself ask, the question foreign on his tongue. Tell me the real truth. If I cut this rope, what danger follows you?" She hesitated, her breath hitching as she weighed the risk of trusting the man holding the razor. The wind kicked up a veil of dust between them. Finally, she whispered. The danger wasn't one man. It was three, riding with her uncle. Men who'd been promised money for her delivery. Men who didn't quit a hunt. The kind who made decent folks bolt their doors before sundown. A chill cut through the Kansas heat. Elias scanned the horizon, half expecting to see their dust. He saw only the impatient sheriff and a restless crowd. But Elias was no longer looking at them. He was staring at Josie, at the tremor in her body, at the fear she could no longer fully conceal. And then the memory came, unbidden and painful, his daughter, Ruth, in her sickbed, her hair falling out as he begged a doctor to save her. He remembered her frail hand grabbing his wrist, her final plea, protect people who can't protect themselves. He had failed her then. A quiet part of him had sworn he would never fail that way again. Elias looked at Josie, and something settled within him, a decision years in the making. He lowered the razor. Slow, deliberate. The sheriff stepped forward angry, but Elias ignored him. The blade flashed, not at her hair, but at the rope. It snapped clean. Josie collapsed forward. Elias caught her before her knees hit the dirt, holding her against his chest as she gasped, shuddering back to life. The crowd fell utterly silent. Even the sheriff was struck dumb. Everyone understood. Elias Ward had just crossed a line from which there was no return. Josie stared up at him, a tumult of confusion, fear, and a fragile, dawning hope in her eyes. Elias offered his hand, steady and calm. In that moment, the story turned in a way none of them had seen coming. Elias gave the sheriff no time to react. As Josie's legs buckled, he pulled her upright, his voice a low command. Stay close. Weak from her ordeal, she found a reserve of strength she never knew she had, fueled by pure fear. Dust plumed as the crowd shuffled back, confused and murmuring. They had known Elias Ward for years, a man who never broke a rule. Seeing him defy the sheriff was like watching a preacher burn his Bible. The whole town held its breath. The sheriff finally snapped from his stupor, his hand darting toward his gun. Elias didn't draw a weapon. He simply stepped between the lawman and Josie. The way he stood, resolute, unflinching, made the sheriff pause. There is a unique danger in a man who has already made his peace with the cost. Josie gripped his sleeve, anchoring herself as the sheriff barked at him to move. Elias's reply was calm and final. The girl comes with me. If you want her back, you'll need more than a badge. A whisper cut through the crowd. The three men hunting Josie had been spotted near the Arkansas River. The rumor spread, chilling the summer air. Josie's breath hitched. Elias leaned close. We ride. Now. He led her to a steady bay gelding that seemed to sense the coming trouble. Lifting her into the saddle, he then swung up behind her, pulling a canteen from his bag. Josie drank greedily, water tracing lines through the dirt on her chin. The sheriff shouted for someone to stop them, but the crowd hesitated. No one was eager to get between Elias Ward and the storm he was courting. The horse surged forward. A gunshot cracked behind them, the bullet kicking up dirt near the bay's hooves. Elias dug in his heels, and they launched into the open plains. Wind whipped Josie's hair as she clung to the saddle horn, Elias's arm a firm band around her, guiding them away from Dodge City. Behind them, the sheriff's cries faded. Ahead, only the vast horizon. Out there, a person could disappear and be reborn all at once. Why? Josie managed, turning her head slightly. Why did you help me? He let out a short, pained breath. I made a promise once, he said, to a girl who never got the chance to run. The wind picked up, the sky began to shift, and far behind, a fresh cloud of dust began to rise on the horizon. The farther they rode, the more the world opened into a wide, forgiving quiet. The horse found its rhythm, and Josie, for the first time in days, felt the knot of fear inside her begin to loosen. She noticed the warm wind on her face, the scent of sun-baked grass and river water, the world offering a fragile promise of a chance. They reached a rise near the river, and Elias helped her down as if handling something precious. She stood barefoot in the grass, catching her breath. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," he told her, his voice steady. "Not while I'm standing." The words hit her with a force she couldn't contain. For so long, the world had only offered hurt. Now, a man who owed her nothing was fighting for her as if she mattered. Tears she could no longer hold back streamed down her face. Elias didn't tell her to be strong. He simply said, "Strong people cry too. It means they've been carrying the weight for too long." The riders were still coming, but the fear had changed. It was no longer the dread of being dragged back into darkness. It was the terror of losing the first good thing to happen in years. Elias looked her in the eye. "You're not running anymore," he said. "Today you are choosing. You are choosing freedom. Your own name. Your own life." It was a lesson for anyone listening. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking that first step forward, even when your knees are shaking.